but stopping teams from getting inside of the map.
Oh, I'd hope so, Tim.
Is a big part of winning that defense. Once attacking teams get inside of the map, they're halfway or more towards winning that round a lot of the time. So for BDS, particularly at the beginning here, they need to get right up to those barricades, right up to those doorways, try and prevent LFO getting themselves established for as long as possible.
The thing for me really about Border is the long angles that are very easy to open up. Like if you're attacking into top floor, Armory, with Armory Archives, that is the most popular site at the moment. You can get West Wall opened up, you can get inside of Archives, you can play on the window, and you can basically cut through the entire site. And they touched on it in the pre-show. A lot of teams on defense are playing inside a fountain. They're extending in towards 90 by opening up one of those soft walls and then again in towards security. So you're trying to play as much of the top floor as possible. But we've seen some really creative OSA use on this map as well. Getting control of the east stairs and giving you a line of sight straight through into security, straight down 90 hallway, and you control massive portions of the map with just those two shields set up. So I'm hoping to see something like that coming out here today. But hopefully the two teams have got a little surprise in mind for us, because looking back to BDS the other day when they were playing Skyscraper, vertical play was just not in their arsenal on Skyscraper against Rogue, whereas Rogue, Cryan especially, was fully abusing on attack and defense, C4s and nades to get kills for free. So I think BDS, if they're going to succeed here today, we need to see them being willing to play more vertically, and by the looks of it, that's what they're going to force themselves to do in round one, because we are going to Vents and Workshop for our first round.
Our operator bands were Thatcher, Nomad, Mirror and Valkyrie. No major surprises there apart from the Nomad, just preventing the thing with Border is as well, it's another course line in that you've got two staircases. There's only two ways up and down, so if you bring the Nomad, once you get top floor control, two air jabs, bang, you've got it locked off. Nobody can come and challenge you on the upstairs. So again, you know, no major surprise to see that this is a map that Nomad's going to get taken out on for those reasons. It's going to make it very, very easy then, or easier rather, for the defenders to be able to move up and down those stairs and just make life a little bit less comfortable up on that top floor. As you say, that is where LFO are going to start their attacks. BDS taking us to Ventilation and Workshop to begin with, and they're going to be trying to hold on to that top floor for, I would suggest, at least half of the round. But the question is, how aggressive do they get? Do they allow LFO to get themselves established and use those beautiful long angles that you were talking about, Des? Or do they try to keep them out altogether? For the time being, we've got the Oryx of Renshiro there playing inside a CCTV, likely to be trying to keep them out of the map.
Trying to get jail opened up here right away. I think when we saw this played in NAL, that was normally the go-to for a Thermite to start the round out, is get control of jail, work yourself inside a supply, because you can then control main stairs and any rotates coming down the east stairs. So it's not quite air jobbing them off, but you do get an absolute ton of control when it comes to playing around here, and that's exactly where Rafal might now start to feel the pressure, because he's got one in jail, he's got one pushing him on the other side, gets rid of one of those threats straight away. Great start to the round for Rafal, who now is going to give them even more headaches to work through.
Great, as you say, to get them underway, but Mowgli goes in, and this is the problem that BDS need to learn how to deal with. Finds Rafal, finds Alems, and continues doing what he has been doing consistently so far through stage one of EUL. Mowgli gets a third on the round onto Sharko. Surely he can't start us off like this. There's a man at top of main stairs, he gets the nade out, he's going to go for it, but Renshiro, he's used his experience there, just dipped himself away, not going to get too aggressive. 3 versus 2, LFO.
They can just take their time here as well. Like, Mowgli's done all the work for them in bringing down 3. You know that you've got a site player left in Playday, that much is guaranteed, and Renshiro can play that more flex role on site, or he can be off trying to roam a little bit here. And I think the read is going to be that he is off site, but they get the one man in the back. Playday actually swings and gets a kill and isn't traded. Big error coming out there. Mowgli looking for one more now, sees the man as he was reloading. He's onto a 4K in the round. He needs one more, and he's got 1 minute and 15 to play. This could be a very long 1v1, Tim.
Certainly could be. There's going to be a bit of cat and mouse going on here because Renshiro has the vertical. Mowgli's going to take the opportunity here to just try and get himself that plant so that he completely flips the switch here and turns Renshiro into a defender. But that is a round one ace from Mowgli, and what a start we've got to Border.
Well,
welcome to Border, Des.
Welcome to big school. Turns out everyone's in your big school at this point. I put out a tweet earlier on, I think it was today or yesterday, saying it's crazy that around the world now how we're seeing so many of these younger gunners coming into top-level leagues and just slapping everyone. Think about like Mephi in APAC North. We've got Nuas over in the NAL. We've got, who was the other guy in LATAM? I was speaking about him as well earlier on. Volpez, I think it is, playing for W7M, getting them to big heights. And Mowgli here for LFO. All four of those players and many more around the world are just being transformational, not in terms of what they're adding to a team, but also in terms of how it's changing a whole team's play style. And that first round, look, let's not take it away. That was all on Mowgli's back. He was the only person to get, well, obviously, a kill, and everyone else was dead in the round. That is a solo round win that realistically you shouldn't be winning. Like, every day of the week. Admittedly helped somewhat by his teammate taking a challenge on the double front door. Got a kill into a Playday who was reloading, but the rest of it, all on him.
The thing is, if BDS are going to lose the rounds where they kill everybody else and still not turn it, they're going to have a difficult day.
Yes.
That's as simple as it's going to get. If you're going to get 4 kills and still lose the round, then it ain't going to be easy. BDS going to take us up to the top floor this time. It's going to be Armory, which, for those of you who remember bordering competitive pool, is pretty much the default primary site, or was at least. Obviously, we will see as things continue and as strats develop as to whether it stays that way, but for now, we're going to have BDS trying to hold on to the top.
I was about to say, Renshiro's the only player I've ever seen look up into that skylight. The number of times you'll get a drone just sat there, like, for free, watching someone who sat down either in Sandwich or just near Printer in office is ridiculous. But at least he's checking skyward to make sure there isn't a drone there, that he isn't being watched, so he can challenge a little more freely. Mowgli, with a nade in hand now, is trying to, I think, rat someone out there, get rid of some gadgetry on the way, and no doubt a Malusi Banshee is going to be just inside of that CC window, so a right call to start things off. And Renshiro looking for a bit of a swing, being challenged out there by, I believe it was P4, who's down to about 75, but Renshiro is again finding an entry kill. It was Rafale round 1 Renshiro in this one, and this normally is where Mowgli then activates.
Renshiro doing a great job inside of office there, being challenged by 2 from slightly different angles and able not only to fend them off, but to come away with a kill and a net positive overall. So exactly what BDS needed, and they continue to hold on to office for the time being. Bebo just being held outside of the map as it stands, unable to get in. Now a beautiful long angle by that man once again. That is 6 kills in a row for Mowgli now. And LFO, somebody else has got to step up there. Somebody else has got to get involved, get in on the action here if they want to keep winning rounds. Shaiko, he's going to keep himself locked inside a CCTV there. Again, just making it difficult for LFO to get themselves inside of the map. They cannot rely on Mowgli aces every round.
Nope, they cannot. Back-to-back aces would be lovely to see, but it's not expected. Here he comes now, working his way towards 90. We spoke about defensive teams using this as a rotate point. They have no idea he's here. Going to find himself a second, make it 7 in a row. Why not 8? Let's go all the stretch once again. Swings on the door, but Rafale's a little too quick and finally puts him to bed. Still, 7 kills in a row. Mega effort from Mowgli.
If you remember what I said at the beginning of this, keeping teams out of the map is a big step for defenders, and that's exactly what BDS have been able to do here. We've only really seen Mowgli get himself inside and established, and even then only just, and BDS are looking much the stronger for it, just holding them at bay at the minute. We've got the tight angle being held inside a fountain. There's no way that that man moves out into the vision of any of these LFO players. It's all down to Shinka and P4 pushing from that archives window. That's all that they've got now, and here comes Playday just pushing up tight. He's got Nitro in hand. Out it goes. It's an absolute certainty. Finds his man. Shinka shut down by LMs, and that's going to be BDS leveling things up. And honestly, Des, honestly, I guarantee this game it's going to 12 rounds. They're going to absolutely batter each other. I'm telling you now.
Fresh is sharing my life.
Fresh is in bits. He's like, they're 2 rounds in.
I don't know if you heard that on the mic at home, but Fresh just like broke out laughing, was like, we're 2 rounds in, Tim.
We'll see who's wrong in round 12.
What are you saying if you're wrong, though? What if it doesn't go to 12?
I don't know. What do you want me to say?
Well, what are you going to do? What are you offering? What are table stakes?
No, I don't need to offer anything. I'm just saying it's going to go all the way. This
Medics
is going to be
really
a close
want you to
game.
just go, "Sue," if we hit 12.
Well, you've just done it.
Well, you got to do it for us if you get
You've
there.
taken the edge off.
No, because you got to do it in the moment. I'm just telling you what you've got to do.
All right.
Right?
We'll see
if
what
it gets
happens.
to 12, I want that out your mouth, all right?
Okay,
we're going for it. Now, the downside is, I believe it's only Mowgli at the minute that has got a kill on the side of LFO. 2 rounds in, not the end of the world, but it's far from a warmed-up start for the side of LFO, outside of just 1 player. On the side of BDS, everyone kind of getting themselves in the mix here outside of LMs, who's providing a more supportive role with those yokais. In fact, no, he even did get a kill at the very end of that round as well, the closing one, in fact. So everyone's on the board. It's not looking too bad for BDS, despite how that first round went. You can kind of chalk it down if you get aced against one player. Okay, it's a freaky round. It's not really going to happen all that often. So I think you'll be feeling quite confident if you're BDS going into round 3.
Yeah, it's pretty good for them, really, as you say, off the first couple of rounds. You can easily write off number 1. That's not going to be the end of the world for them. LFO this time need to get themselves more established inside of the building. That's going to be step number 1. They need to get themselves some control, not necessarily total map control, but they need to get themselves somewhere that they're comfortable, that they set up, that they can start working from. Much the same as last time, they're going to be attacking onto ventilation and workshop. They're going to look to open angles up into customs, make it difficult for anybody to play inside of there. It's Rafal once again. We saw him in this position, played it there pretty well, but was unable to get away with his life. Renshiro in CCTV. So very similar setup from BDS here. What have LFO learnt? I'm sure they're going to have learnt that they can't rely on a Mowgli ace, so they're going to have to be finding them from somewhere else.
We're very used to, again, seeing this kind of jail war starts out here, getting the soft top opened up, and then a nade over the top will clear away the Electro Claw, and that wall can now be opened by the Thermite. Big point of entry. As I mentioned earlier on, you will see teams always fighting over getting this open. With it now being opened up, it means the players inside of Customs and Supply are going to have to step their way back a little bit here, or be at risk of being shot out pretty comfortably when someone comes in through Passport door as well.
Renshiro holding an angle, just looks away at the wrong second there. Might have got himself one, but Mowgli's just going to hold this angle. He knows that there's going to be somebody playing in behind there.
They got through this.
Renshiro, he needs to push now. He needs to try and protect his man, but no, Renshiro not only gets away down the hatch, but Alems finds Rise as he comes across that 90 elbow and gets cut down. Renshiro takes a lot of damage, but is still in the round, most importantly.
Really set his sights there in a game of cat and mouse, and then got sideswipe T-Bone coming in from the other player as well, of Alems, who finally does get taken out. Mowgli kind of striking himself as a bit of a Grim Reaper here. They lose the entry death, and he's always there to pick up the pieces. Worth noting, Rise has been the entry death 3 rounds in a row now as well. It has not been the dream start in these rounds, but Mowgli has been there to pick up the pieces. 4 versus 3. LFO still in a position of control, and I think they know that Rafal's here in this case, but he's getting pinched in from jail as well. Got a drone on one side, the pressure's starting to mount up, but can they find the man before he finds them? Yes, they can, because Mowgli's straight into a friendly nade. Unlucky, I guess.
P4 had already let go of that one to try and deal with Rafal. Maybe
Secret Agent P4, let's go.
A little bit of miscommunication there. Mowgli hopping in through the window, dealing with the man, removing the problem that they had, and just suffering to the other option that was already on its way through the sky. P4, unfortunate. That's going to leave us now 3 versus 2. 25 seconds left to go. Diffuser in hand, but Shaiko, he's going to find Bibu, and P4 just misses his opportunity there to keep the man advantage. And with time ticking down, all of a sudden, BDS look like they might just have themselves a small advantage. Hold up inside a workshop, but P4, nice kill through onto Shaiko. Gives them a possibility, an option, a chance here for Shinka to get this diffuser down, but out goes the Nitro from distance. It's perfect, and Bibu flips to the sidearm, gets the second, closes out the round, and that's a nice defense, and we don't expect anything less from Playday.
Oh, just played the safe option, was like, you know what? I ain't got to shoot him. C4 in back pocket. Off he goes. Easy, calm close out there as well. BDS are settling into things a little bit more, but it is coming close in these dying moments in around there because, okay, it was a 3 versus 2 for LFO. Shaiko playing pretty well, and they looked like they had the right positions, but the clock ultimately was what worked against them there. Just a bit too much work for LFO to get done, and BDS go up 2-1, now in the lead.
Here comes the real challenge for BDS now. They've locked down armory, they've locked down ventilation, they have to go to bathroom tellers. They're going to try to hold on to office and fountain above it, reduce the vertical options. We can see P4 already on sledge. Doubt that we will see that changed in the attacker repick. He will hold on to that and look to get vertical angles, look to get superiority over the top of this site. And BDS more than ever need to hold LFO out for as long as possible. Otherwise, it will become significantly difficult to hold onto bathroom and tellers.
Absolutely. This site's an interesting one as well, because back on old Border, you couldn't play this site like this. The right-hand side of the bathroom didn't exist. It was outdoors. It was undercover, admittedly, so you wouldn't get wet if it was raining, but at the very least, you are now indoors. And what you'll often see is players sat with a shield inside of there, open up that kind of connecting wall so it's a little bit soft, and challenge onto that window. Attackers equally want to get nades in. But what often ends up happening is it all turns into warfare up on the top floor. This is why you've got a roam coming in from the Aruni, and no doubt that castle has set up slightly out towards the office side as well, just to make sure BDS can waste a good chunk of time upstairs because, well, that's how you win rounds against him. You starve them of time, they have to start making mistakes, otherwise they won't have enough time to get the round done, and that's when you capitalise as the defenders.
Already established on the balcony, looking to make their way inside quite quickly here, LFO. I think that's something that they need to keep about their game. We've seen it in the first couple of weeks. The aggression in the early
That would have been 0-4 for Rise on entry.
He's had a tough game of it so far, and the problem is, I've said this before, when you keep... It's almost like you're getting kept on the bench, essentially. You're not warming up, you're not getting in gunfights, you're not hitting your shots, and then when those critical key moments come in later rounds, it can be difficult. So Rise certainly needs to get himself off the mark and get involved here. Does not want to be taking another entry death. Mowgli, he's going to relocate. He's going to move around to that break room door instead of pushing the CCTV window, but he's actually going to flip it 180, come back the other way, sees his man, but Shaiko sees him first, and Shaiko is not a man to miss a headshot. Takes him down out of the window and says there will be no peeping into CCTV whilst I'm here.
Now the man's got all the intel inside there. I thought Mowgli saw him for a brief second and probably did, but just swept across him. Didn't realise, I think, that he'd seen an operator and gets tagged down for it. 4 entries in a row now for BDS, by the way. They are looking so commanding in these entries, but look at this. It's a little bit of a rush, kind of setting up 3 of them inside a waiting room. They've blown out the site wall and are looking to go in behind these smokes. 1 smoke coming out, the second one also coming in from Rise, but BDS has got the cross, gets the shutdown, Alem's another. It's all falling apart for LFO. Come the execute, and this should be another BDS cleanup.
It's just looking too easy for BDS right now. LFO, they've got to find some of that panache that they've shown us in the previous 2 play days. That aggression, that just lack of predictability, just being able to get in there and win the gunfights that they shouldn't. P4 manages to take down Playday. Is it going to be the start of something here in round 4? There's a wall there, Des. Don't get too excited. He's locked inside of office, and that is where Renshiro will likely keep himself for the remainder of this round, because he wants to keep that vertical option. P4 looking directly on inside of sight. Can't find himself a second just yet. He's trying his angles. He's trying to find something, but no, Shaiko shuts him down with a headshot. 25 seconds. Bibo, I'm not sure he's aware of Renshiro inside there. It's not going to matter as he dips away, heads over the balcony, and Renshiro, he just starts moving his feet. He's going to have a look and see if there's an opportunity maybe over the balcony, but for the time being, the challenge comes on to Shaiko, who wants to close it out, but ultimately it's Rafal. And the big problem for LFO is after 4 rounds, Des, not only is it BDS 3-1, but they still have 3 players without a kill to their name.
Just not really getting much in these early rounds at all either. Again, 4-0 to BDS on the entry. Understandably, LFO go, boys, we need some attacking rounds on the board here. Everyone's saying board is an attacker-sided map. Attacker repicks in. We've got to get more, but we're only at 1 round at this point. We're down 3-1. We're being slapped silly in these rounds. We need some fresh ideas. So Rise, having a talk with the boys here, hoping to get things back on track. It started well with Mowgli in those first couple of rounds as well, picking up a couple of multi-kills, but BDS have kind of started to get to grips on him now. It's slowing down in terms of his early impact, and as you said, there are 3 players currently sat on 0 kills. So they've got to get something right. You do not want to be going into the second half of this map down 5-1.
BDS just feel like a little bit of a roll of the dice at the minute. We saw them on Skyscraper struggle to get it over the line against Rogue. They were ahead most of the time, but then just sort of let it slip at the end, and it feels like they're there to be beaten this year. They, finished the back end of last year very, very strong, unbeaten in Stage 3. It seems like there's opportunities for teams to take points from them, but LFO just not capitalising at the minute. And BDS looking pretty good today.
I think BDS on Skyscraper, the way I'd kind of summarised them was like the BDS of old when they were beatable back in, say, like Stage 2. I think it's Stage 2 last year, maybe Stage 1. They just look static. Their strats aren't really there. They don't play vertically. And the way that I summarised Skyscraper at points was it's 5 separate players playing the game. They're not playing as a big collective, and that's what's lacked at points for them. I think so far here today you're seeing a little bit of that, but that's more out on the roam. And at times they have got each covered. Think when Rise was trying to push through 90, for example, to get the security player, he had the cover of someone sat on half wall inside of Armory. So there is more team play coming through on this map. That is no doubt massively helped by all these long range angles, all the soft walls throughout the map that basically give you full map site coverage. So it's good so far from BDS. You're at 3-1. It's looking comfortable. Bibu, Rise and Shinka yet to get on the board. Just keep on doing your thing, BDS, because clearly it's working.
4 out of 5 men for LFO just heading over to that south side balcony. Drones will go in ahead of them. They're going to be attacking onto Armory. What's fascinating, and obviously we looked at this in the pre-show as well, is the changes that we've seen to Border, the lack of attention towards that west wall, for example. Just not really something that teams are focusing on towards. All the pressure so far in attacking Armory as a new site has been focused towards Office, clearing out Fountain and working in from there. We'll see if LFO make a little bit more progress. They struggled to get themselves established inside of the map last time around. This time they want to be getting that entry kill, Des. They haven't had a single one yet. They need to give themselves that opportunity.
What I'm finding interesting is we talk about attacker repick and how many teams are running like crazy little changes at the last second. Like we saw a lot of Capitao earlier. We've seen Ying. We've seen Fuse even coming in earlier on for Uno for the side of Heroic. So far for LFO, we've seen the same operators in every single round except the first. The only difference back then was it was an ace instead of an Ash. That is the only change they've made throughout this entire attacking half. So they're not adapting to what they're seeing, and BDS are perfectly fine with that because clearly it's working in their favour.
Shinka's going to be drawing out CCTV, just feeding information in. Shaco's going to take a lot of damage there.
Finally.
And he's going to go down, and it's Rise rising from the ashes there to get himself an entry kill. Renshiro takes down Mowgli to level things out, though, 4 versus 4. And Renshiro's played a great game from inside of Office so far. The couple of times we've seen him in that location, he's had a real command of that area, and it's just not something LFO have been able to deal with, whether they need to be using a little bit of utility, getting some nades in there, just trying to force Renshiro to move away from the angles that he seems to know so well. Rise, he's going to find himself a second on the round. That's going to be Playday, and maybe LFO can get something going here.
You can see they're clearly trying to get the way into Office side here as well. C4 coming out, but it's a little bit too deep. P4's already charged through like he does best, but 2 members have hit the deck. It's a 1v2 here for Alems. If he can get Shinka and P4, this round is done, despite it looking like a 1 versus 4. Currently trying to set this just having a little lie down and cuddle together, I guess, Tim. Why not?
Just have a little chat, you know.
How's your day going? Not great, actually.
Not
Getting
great.
slapped
How
by
about
BDS.
you? Yeah, pretty much the same, actually, mate. Just going to watch each other there. There we go. We see Bibu get picked up, and the second, I tell you what, that's absolutely deadly in a 1 versus, let's call it a 4, but if Alems takes his opportunity there, there's 3 to be found, but he's not going to aggress on forward, understandably. Just going to hold his angles inside of sight for the time being. He gets one, Des. Can he do this? He's got 3 more to find, but 2 of them are very low health. There's another one, but no! Shut down by Raz, who gets his 3rd in the round, and LFO gets something going. They manage to find themselves around in Armory, and that's going to be 3-2 now.
Looked like a real pinch around Fountain, to be honest with you. You had, 1 up on the Office, 2 on the Office doorway, 1 was up on Office window, you had 1 inside of security, and it was Rise finding that kill through onto Playday that really just upset the apple cart, because I think Playday was on like 6 kills, maybe 7. He's been having a cracking game so far. You remove that backline, the backbone of the team, the rest of it just sags to the floor, as we saw BDS falling by the wayside quite comfortably. Round 6 then coming up, it's going to be the last of the half. LFO's last chance to make this a 3-3. Otherwise, BDS still go in with that round lead advantage going into their attacking half.
If LFO come away 3-3 here, they've absolutely stolen it, to be fair. With the way that BDS have played through those first few rounds, LFO will be breathing a big sigh of relief, but there is a big 3 minutes for them yet before they can manage that. It's going to be ventilation and workshop once again. We've seen BDS defend it twice. 1-1, lost 1, with LFO taking the first round down there, but they were able to lock it down in round 3. LFO, I think, just need to get better command of the verticals. They need to use that to create pressure, but more importantly, to create space to get in there and get that diffuser down. But let's not forget, last time when BDS did win it, it came down to a 1v2. It was only because of some great clutch play from Playday that they actually got this one done.
Tim, they made a change. They brought the Twitch, and Twitch gives them smokes. That's what I think they were looking for, because they've had that flashes in Shinka's back pocket for the entirety of the first half as well. Very used to seeing smokes coming along on a thermite. Normally you think about the big executes with the thermite, for example, but it does make things like this a hell of a lot easier. Rather than darting around trying to chuck nades over when there's 2 ADSs in the room, instead they can just zap it out and force the man away. So, a little bit of intel being connected there before the shock drone lost its life. Just catching out onto the Kai, a little love tap, and sends him on his way.
Rafal in the same position that we've seen him playing previously, but this time on the Kaid rather than the Mozzie. P4 going to take down Shaco. Immediate trade comes in as Alem finds his man. That's Shaco suffering to the entry death in the last couple of rounds. We get a little trade there as well. Alems manages to get Rise, but Mowgli finds Renshiro elsewhere before he finds himself a second onto Alems. We're barely a minute in, Des, and we've got 5 deaths already.
Classic LFO pushing in, going aggressive, and BDS are forced to respond. It's as simple as that. But now that you've got 2 minutes on the clock and it's a 3 versus 2, this is where you slow things down a little bit. You haven't got to panic, haven't got to rush. It's not a speed run. It's not any games done quick. It's you can take things nice and slow and get your drones in, figure out where they are, and make your plays off the back of that.
And that's exactly what LFO are going to do. They've created the space. They've got the time.
They've got 5 drones on the field.
That's it. They really don't need to just go steaming in here now. They've got 2 defenders to find. Playday is one of them, which they will know. He's almost certainly going to be on site, and that is exactly where he is. That's the thing. Playday is such an amazing site player, such an amazing smoke player, but you don't really need to drone him. If you've got a good idea that he's one of the players remaining, you know pretty much where he's going to be playing. So that leaves you with only potentially 1 to find elsewhere. It's Rafal, and he has got himself in customs at the minute. The yellow ping goes out, telling us that they know his location,
what
but
a
you
swing.
can't, Mowgli, give yourself up like that for free. You know Playday is going to be inside, but you can't give him the opportunity to swing on you. That's a great kill from Playday.
Oh, and almost getting tagged through the floor as well as BB tried to push him. Then Shinka went for a go, but like a slippery snake, just dodges away from all the shots coming in and keeps himself alive. Like that, they've kind of swung this back when it was a 3 versus 2 and 2 minutes on the clock. You're really fancying LFO to win it, but they might have just started to do enough here to be able to bring this round back.
Very possibly. BB looking for a drop from the hatch potentially. He's just going to smoke it off for the time being. Playday just playing this patiently, sitting himself outside of sight as Rafal has actually moved back inside as well. So making it as difficult as possible here. Shinka is going to move in, but I don't know that he's going to get an opportunity to put the diffuser down here. They're just sort of holding angles, LFO. Feels like they're holding the breath there. It's like they're not really sure what the next step is. Shinka is indeed going to try and get that diffuser down. He's almost baiting out the spray. BB is going to find his man. Playday taken down. He can't quite see him. Rafal can't get the angle. Can Shinka stick this? Has to win this fight. Bibu on the cover. Rafal moving through now, trying to just wiggle, trying to move, trying to get any angle that he can, but he just can't find the man. He's going to rotate around. He's going to hit the metal stairs instead. Surely you're going to cover the vertical angle here. We've got one outside as well. This is going to be extremely difficult for Rafal now. He's looking for the kills. He knows that he needs them as he steps outside. Shinka's going to stay patient, Des. He doesn't need to do any more. Angle opened up. Surely nothing Rafal can do from here. He's just bouncing back and forward, trying to find anything. He's going for the long arm. See if he can stick it. Nope. Bibu finds his man. Always difficult for Rafal. And LFO somehow Des, have levelled things up 3-3 at the half.
Unbelievable. Bit of a tactical timeout coming in, doing the work for you that was required to get things back on track. 3-3, not a bad outcome. Now we've got to see how BDS attack. And they haven't quite attacked with the same, I don't know, the same panache, the same strength, the same conviction they had at points last year. We haven't seen all that convincing an attack out of them this year. Sure, they can get rounds through the sheer gun skill they've got, but is that enough against a side like LFO? We'll find out now getting into this second half, and I imagine we start things on the upstairs. No, okay. I'm going to start out in bathroom, downstairs, then Tim. That's been the offsite back in that first half, but here is the go-to first one.
It has, and we'll see. I mean, maybe BDS don't expect it. Maybe LFO have got a trick up their sleeve here. They've brought the castle along. They're going to be clearing off that teller's side. Just make it difficult to hold any long lines of sight in from waiting room towards deep inside. It's going to maybe just give the defenders a little bit more breathing space inside. I'm interested to see what's going on upstairs. We're going to be reinforcing Fountain. We've got the Kaid up there. Going to have a little presence inside of Archives. Triple wall reinforced. So really making a fortress out of this top floor.
I mean, very used to seeing this as well, especially out towards the office side. My fear of this is always that there's a lot to cover. You've used 2 of your panels immediately onto the downstairs. They've now kind of electrified off that wall as well. I guess the one blessing you've got is there isn't really tons that you have to do on the site itself. Like, chuck them a Lucy in between the windows or through the wall where they'll try and run in. You can castle barricade them out. You've got a couple of walls to reinforce out towards the left and the one on the double doorway. That's about as far as you go. The rest of your gadgetry and reinforcements can go on the upstairs to try and make it a very highly defendable position. And surely BDS here, as you can see, have read into that because they are moving on to the upstairs and want to try and force these players out.
11's going to hold that long angle for the time being, just try and cut down any potential rotations. Mowgli not going to make any challenge on towards that east door. It is not an easy one to win, especially when the defenders have got the different sides. He's just stood in the open, He stood wide in the open and takes Playday down. That is disgusting.
How's he done that? And not get traded on the way through? Unbelievable. Dips himself away. Happy that he's removed the thermite as well. That's your hard breach had gone in the round. They haven't got a replacement either. So the hatch on the upstairs is going to stay closed. That's the worst part. Rise has been taken down. So BDS are going to have to strong arm this. Shaiko pursuing down his shadow, it feels like, removing Mowgli from the board. Now they've got to look what they can do next. Wait, is the hatch not reinforced? No. I thought it was. If it was, they wouldn't be able to use it. But no, it's open. No.
Bibu's in an important position here. He's last man up above now. Needs to really hold on to this for as long as possible because there's still 1:30 left to go, Des. BDS have come in here hard and fast to try and crack this LFO nut. And boy, is it cracked wide open right now. They are starting to find themselves in a very difficult position. Beautiful nade from Shaiko. Just bounces it off the wall almost playfully, taking down Bibu, leaving us now 4v2. P4, he fights back though, finds one onto Renshiro. LFO, they are still in this. This one could still be won. Let's not forget, this is generally one of the later choice sites, so if they can get this over the line, Des, it might just give them a big step up in their defensive half.
Basically out of drones as well, Tim. Only the one on the field here from Rafal. So a little restricted in what they can do. And as that clock runs down, that's when you're forced to get a little bit desperate and where you might start seeing LFO pick up a kill or two on the exit. Here at least another call's going to come in. They can hack through these. But with that goal going off, I mean, they've got a cool Lessel, sorry, in back pocket. That was more to hack through the cams. I don't think there are too many around. There was a bulletproof earlier in the round. But down to that last 30 seconds, you've got to start making a move.
This is it now. LFO likely to just hold their angles. They're just going to wait. They're not going to give anything away. They don't need to over-peak. They just need to take the fights as they come. Lems is in, though. He's got the opportunity to get the diffuser down here. Shinka's looking to make a rotate, but he's going to get himself flashed out. P4's hammering bullets on a long angle, but not going to find anybody. Shinka down inside, and surely this is over now as Lems fall. The kills come in. BDS with diffuser down. They managed to take round 7. First attack successful for them, and we have a match on our hands.
Ooh, okay. I mean, admittedly, Mowgli getting away with murder at the start of that round with the entry that he got. Outside of that, it was just a slow fall away to the members of BDS. A beautiful nade from Shaiko. They cleared the top floor really well. Felt more like LFO were just kind of waiting for their deaths to come to them outside of Mowgli being a little aggressive on towards 90. So, BDS not getting stalled out, looking good. Now LFO are the ones who have got to change something up. And what they're doing here, Tim, is digging in even deeper. You've got the Wamai coming out. You've still got the Mute. You've got the Goyos on side now as well for P4. So that rather than trying to get out in the map and meet BDS, they're saying, all right then, we'll just try and waste your time even more.
This is it. Could be potentially a little bit of a problem. As I said, something that can work particularly well, and we saw BDS do it, is meeting them at the boundaries, is preventing teams getting established inside of the map on border. And if LFO start giving BDS that space to get in and get themselves that map control over 25, 50, 75% of upper floors, lower floors, it could become desperation stations for them. It could be fighting backs against the wall. Sometimes attack can be the best form of defence, but LFO, for the time being, they've only lost one defensive round, not the end of the world, and it's going to be a site that we don't often see picked as the first choice. This time it's going to be Armory for them, see if we can get this one locked down.
I was having a good chat with the coach of M&M, Emerta earlier actually about this and how with attacker repick, you know, the attackers will generally, admittedly, both of these teams are barely making use of it. BDS haven't in this round, they didn't in the last Rafal, finding Rise to start things off. He's having a torrid time on entry this game, sheesh. But again, the whole point is for the defenders, you know the attackers are bringing essentially what they believe is the best lineup to assault your setup. So the best thing you can do is get out in the map, stall them, pick off an attacker or two, remove those tools they need to go for the execute. So I'm a little nervous about the really passive sort of defense they've gone for here, at least in the operator selection. They can still play it aggressively, but you might just find yourself being picked off from long range one by one as things progress forwards.
LFO just on the back foot a little bit here in terms of manpower, but BDS also getting themselves more and more established inside of the map here, continuing to push forward, continuing to take more. Every inch they're given results in a mile being taken. And Mowgli, he's got himself locked inside a CCTV, but he's going to get pinched if he's not careful and could find himself getting challenged from multiple angles. You can see the silhouettes starting to surround him.
Surely not people.
They're all aware of his position. They all know that he's there. They're looking for the challenge. They're looking for any angle that they can find, and there it comes. It was a matter of time. Playday is the one ultimately to find his man. That's Mowgli taken down without any damage done in return, and BDS with a big advantage here, but Bibu manages to find one onto Shaiko. Takes a lot of damage in that exchange, but is going to hold on to his life and is going to hold on to that half-wall position.
Oh, P4. Oh, P4. I was going to say, do we see Trigger Discipline or to go for the kill? He goes straight for the kill and gets out of dodge. A great nade in from below. So BDS, compared to what we saw back on Skyscraper, are playing this vertical attack game really well so far. One more coming in now from the west wall. Shinka just holding out at least now for here as the first call came through. Once again, it's a 3 versus 2 for BDS, though, so with the numbers advantage, you're counting on them being able to win, given they've got 50 seconds left on the clock.
It's going to be the last stages for LFO to try and hold on now. 3v2, it's certainly doable. Nitro comes out unsuccessful. Shinka taken down. P4, too much to do to try and get himself back upstairs. And that's BDS just taking the opportunity with one left on site to aggress in numbers and to get that one on the board. 5-3 now. BDS got themselves a bit of breathing space.
That 2-round padding's really nice to have at this point. You win this next one, you're at 6-3. It is a long road back to the top for LFO, who return back to the site they played in round 7. It's going to be yet again another bathroom tellers setup. Now, we know they really enjoy playing up on the top floor. They managed to pick off the hard breacher early, but a lot of that came from Mowgli's aggression. If they control that like they did in the last round, get a bit of drones and get a couple of crossfires set up, that's when they managed to walk away in a very successful position with him dead, with the second guy, Bibu, inside of Archives, also off the board. It doesn't really get much easier than that. And here's that pick off onto Rise, who unfortunately wasn't even trying to peek onto the window, was just getting not quite pre-fired, but ran into pre-fire coming out onto the window from the Decabi. Let's see how they do, though, as we go into round number 9.
Pretty much a similar setup to the one that we saw before. Castle barricades all across that waiting area side. We've got a lot of utility up on the top floor, but I'm not really sure what LFO feel like they're going to bring differently here, because BDS were able to remove them piece by piece on that top floor. Let's not forget that beautiful nade that we saw from Shaiko just over the top. Quite often they weren't even taking challenges. They weren't even putting themselves at any risk. So LFO are going to have to do things differently here if they want another outcome. They're going to move in from the south side immediately, BDS, pretty much as we saw previously. I imagine we will see very similar attacking strategy from them. Why? If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Jinx.
I can't talk for the rest. Oh, I've just failed.
That didn't last very long, did it? Not very good at this. Don't you play this back home, you little girl?
Jinx, I've not taught her that one yet. She's 7, it's probably about time.
Did you know she'll run around and be like, Jinx? And you'll be like, please, stop.
The thing is, what I need to do is like hit her with it and you just stop her speaking for like a year.
What if she doesn't stop speaking, though? She's like violating the rule or some unspoken code of the game that way.
I mean, I can't silence her forever, can I?
No. Absolutely not. LM's his drone being silenced out, though. We spoke about these earlier on.
This is an old nade.
Oh, and it just, yeah. Oh.
Nade in from the dome onto Sandwich. I've not seen this one for a long time. There you go. Rice didn't see it coming either. Lems is going to take him down for free. That is one of the oldest tricks in the book there, and it's going to be another entry death for Rise.
Such a beauty. Sometimes fundamentals work best, Tim, and going back to basics, well, it nets results. I think he's looking for a secondary. He's even trying to line up. He's lining up the perfect nade as well. There's not a man there, but he's on the right. Will he find him? No, but almost gets him through the rotate. Bibu down to about half HP, out of range of the ADS, but almost getting a second man. Go on, go on.
You know what you want to. Nitro unsuccessful. And still 5v4 in terms of man count. BDS are just looking to notch it up a gear here, Des. They're cruising at the minute, and LFO are just really struggling now. They've got themselves on defense. Beautiful pre-fire coming out of Bibu, though. Just knew the man was stepping across. And a second takes down Lems as well. Finds himself on low health, but LFO somehow just flipped this round on its head, and they go from 5 versus 4 to 4 versus 3. Advantage to LFO.
Looking forward to hearing your best Ronaldo impression if we do hit round 12 here, Tim, because it's starting to feel like it might bubble that way despite those last 2 rounds going the way of BDS. LFO showing there is still much more in the tank from them yet in this game. A 4 versus 3. BDS down to these last 45 seconds or so, and not quite with the full control they're looking for. They haven't managed to break this top floor hold yet, despite the fantastic nade coming in onto Sandwich. There's still one player sat inside, and I think they might have a little bit of support if required. They're trying to push the man out. You can hear the call coming through. Bibu must know that his days are numbered, that he is being pressed as a flash comes through. In comes Playday, looking around the side, but he finds a 3K. How has Bibby walked away with that? Jumps in, but Rafal knows that he's a rat on the ground, takes him out, but the damage is done. They have not got the time left to make this play work as we get into the last 10 seconds.
It's all up to the two remaining players. They need to get themselves downstairs. They need to get down there quickly. We see one drop come. Second is going to be the hatch, but Mowgli, he's aware. Red ping gives it away, and he finds his man on the drop. Bibu, take a bow. You just won that round for LFO from Office. Big round there, leveling us up. Not quite leveling us up. I'm getting overexcited. 5-4, Des. It's 5-4, and LFO continue fighting.
That was a critical round to win because you lose that, it's 6-3. You need to get 3 on the bounce. It's a little bit to ask for, but here you've given yourself an extra breath of life. You're just that one little bit closer and you've kept BDS away. It's like playing the chase on TV. Will an international audience appreciate the chase?
I'm sure anybody would.
Who's who in this case? LFO are the chaser, I guess, aren't they?
No, I'd say it's the other way around.
Well, no, BDS are like trying to get ahead.
I know score-wise,
and LFO
but
are chasing them.
It never feels like the contestant is the better of the two, where BDS do feel like the better of the two.
At the minute. Honestly, I really wish that second nade had got a kill. It would have just been
I can't believe the freebie for it. I mean,
it's because he lined it up.
Honestly,
like, the fourth flower down, sent up, off you go.
I literally said it 3 seconds before it. Like, it was just winding back the years to Border 2 years ago. It was like that was just the nade you saw every single round into Sandwich. I was amazed that it netted a kill.
Well, maybe there's more of those to come, Tim. As we are stepping now into Armory Archives, they're still playing around here up on the top floor. The Goyo outside as well. Hot Pockets, as I've heard Fluke and Hap call them.
They've certainly been christened that. Yeah.
Hot Pockets.
I think it's quite a good little description.
Yeah, I mean, they are pockets of metal and they are pretty hot once you shoot them.
Certainly are.
They do a lot of damage. They do last forever.
They do.
Remember when the rework came and everyone was like, oh, no more shields. Like, Goyo's going to be useless, lol. And now look at him. You still see his pick rate an awful lot because the burn time, the radius, everything is just obnoxious as all hell. It's great.
That is it. You know, he's obviously, more limited than somebody like Tachanka, who has, a smaller area of effect on those flames, but Goyo certainly proving his worth. The Lems gets away with one there. What's Mowgli doing? He's going on the drop, but Rise, he's going to find the kill onto a Lems and he's going to keep Mowgli alive. He's going for more. He's straight out of the detention wall and gets himself a second. Playday shuts him down, and that's probably going to net them 2 kills. There's Rise. He was right to take the risk, and he got the second man, but Mowgli, he's going to be finished off almost certainly. Shaiko finds Bibu, and that now leaves us 3v2.
Trade on trade there. Shaiko is kind of flanking the man who was trying to flank someone in jail, who was watching Mowgli. There was just like 4 people in a room, all pointing guns at each other. At this point, Mowgli is dead to rights. He's the unrecoverable, given the position that he's currently sat in. There it is, Playday picking him up. So a 3 versus 2. We've been in this 3 versus 2 situation so many times throughout the game, mainly in favour of BDS, but LFO have also had a couple of rounds like it. Do not count LFO out, even though BDS have got half a round still to play with.
We saw it previously with 2 defenders trying to hold on to Armory. One of LFO went down underneath to try and get a Nitro kill. Shinka does have Nitro in hand, as does P4, but neither of them budging this time, and I like to see it because all that happened when they did that was the 3 remaining players of BDS just rushed site. They knew they were 3v1, and then they could cut the last one off as they tried to return. So lessons have been learned, and LFO, they're just going to try and hold on. They're bunkering down, they're just holding those lines of sight, and they've got 2 Nitros in hand. There's a real possibility for LFO to turn this out.
Proving a little bit not one-dimensional, but a bit simplified maybe from BDS, all coming in from the southwest, but P4 gets found out, and poor old Shinka, not a kill to his name yet in this game, is the one left facing off against 3 BDS members. Something tells me, Tim, it's a very unlikely 1v3 when you haven't been having the best game so far. He drops away downstairs. They're not quite sure where he's gone here. They think maybe he's dug into Fountain, but Plant is coming down, has a C4 in the back pocket, knows where to go, hopefully so. Yes, out comes the C4, but it's just a bit too shy. And now Playday, undisturbed, can go for a plant here. Maybe you hope for a shotgun through the floor, but I think it's a bit too late. Shinka going to work his way up on the main stairs, but he's being held from inside a Fountain. Renshiro is ready and waiting. Looks away at the wrong moment. The yellow pin came in. Surely he can't slip his way through here. They must know that he's around there. Yes, they do. Renshiro's going to make sure it's 0 and 7 for Shinka. And another round for BDS as they now move up to match points.
Oh, what a game this is. Edge of the seat stuff. And we are going to round 11 of 12. You all laughed. You scoffed back in round 2.
You said 12.
I know, you scoffed in round 2 when I said it looked like it was going to 12. I just had a feeling. I've watched a little bit of Siege across the years, Des. And sometimes...
All right, Tim, can you teach me your code? What is it in round 2?
Sometimes you just get
that tells you it's going to be 12 rounds, huh?
And it's getting close.
Tell
LFO
me.
need what? I can't tell you. That's the thing, Des. I can't tell you. I couldn't if I wanted to.
You know that line I said to Fabian a couple of weeks ago on the desk?
Nah.
Yeah? Nah. That's you right now.
Nah. You're wrong, Des. Quite often.
That's a very PC way of saying what I was going to say, but we'll take it. Let's see how things go. We're stepping into a side that I don't believe we've seen at all so far throughout this map. It's going to be in customs and supply. What a time to roll the dice and try and bring out something a little bit different. But LFO, they need a bit of a miracle. They've got 2 rounds they need to recover here to get it back up to overtime at the very least. BDS guaranteed a single point from this game if they lose in overtime, but they're eyeing up all 3. They haven't quite had the cleanest start to the season. Saw how things went against Rogue the other day. They need to get those 3 points on the board here and now if they want to basically guarantee they're going to be in that top 4 come the end of the season, because this stage of EUL so far has proved to be way more competitive than we ever imagined it would be.
Rise just castling off the long corridor there, and that was... change when border was altered. Obviously, the sort of doorways in between there becoming castleable. I know it's not a word, but
I know Fresh is dying for that window.
I know he'd love that to be added.
I think it's a great idea.
We're going to add that phrase, castleable.
Castleable.
Is going to become a thing, so we'll stick with that. But it's
like
probably the
that.
best descriptor I can make of the fact that you can put a castle wall on there. So drone is up in the dome. It's going to be feeding some information back in. They know that there's nobody inside of office, so that's potentially going to give BDS a little in there. Rafal just going to burn away there, take out the electrical, nice and easy, and that will allow detention to be opened up.
All too easy. Again, it's been the focus of the attackers in pretty much every single round. Shinka, the one holding down on site, playing on the Chanka. And we were talking about earlier on, when you're playing on Cafe Basement, not the best operator, because attackers run through where you're firing flames. If you're putting the flames in a spot that is pretty static, i.e. where they want to plant, think about border basement, then he can be a really effective operator. So I'm not sure what Shinka's hoping to deny here, but give it a bit of time and we will see.
Mowgli's had his shield removed now, but we've seen previously that does not necessarily deter him from stepping out into elbow. He's quite happy to continue challenging top of East Stairs, and that's going to be his position for the foreseeable. Shaiko taking a graze there. Very little damage done. Ilems has had a little bit of chip damage done to him as well. Mowgli looking low, and Ilems looking to push on here, just trying to clear out this top floor utility. That's at least 2 castle barricades that have been dealt with, and a shield as well. So BDS eating their way through it, but eating their way through it slowly. Des Ilems, he's going to chew Rise up for breakfast and spit him out there with an opener of a headshot. 5v4 BDS. They could be on the downhill now. They could be heading for victory here, as this is 5v3.
That should be what they're looking for as well. Worth noting, Rise, 2 and 6 on entry in this game. It's not looking super hot. Has gone down more often than not. And Shaiko finding P4. This could be the close unless he can go massive Shinka, but no, he can't. Finds his first kill onto a lens, but then gets traded out. This should be about it, because Bibu, unless he can pull off a miraculous clutch, is in a 1 versus 4. Going to drop through the hatch here, looking for where the plant's going down, but the long angle is there from Renshiro, just ready and waiting. BDS get the win over their French counterparts. And probably not one that LFO were looking for, given their strong start to the season, but 3 points are 3 points for BDS.
We knew that it was going to be a good game, and it certainly delivered. We got 11 of 12. LFO just unable to get themselves through.